Welcome to the MaxBet podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything gaming. I'm Landon Jones, here with Mike McKiskey. Let's get started. Everybody, welcome back to the MaxBet podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Rob Bone.
The Bone Saw.
And I only know him as, is it Bone Saw or Bone Dog?
Bone Dog's probably more right.
I've heard worse.
Is it? Okay, fair enough.
For me, I just love that meme from the first Spider-Man where Macho Man plays Bone Saw and he's like, Bone Saw is ready. And that's every time I see him, that's what I say. That's just how it goes.
What's up, guys? It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the pod.
Huge kudos on what you guys have done. Love it. I mean, I watch every episode you guys post, so tons of congratulations for what you guys have done.
Man.
I appreciate it. Do you watch them or do you listen?
Interesting. So I'm more of a listener, but since it went on to YouTube, I check it out. You know, I mean, a lot of the people you have on, I know, so I want to see
that's
what
good.
they look like, how they're doing,
how they make
what kind of gear they wear.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I don't know if you're watching too much because we're not suit guys, but that's okay. But you look good. You look good.
I think this might be the first time I've ever worn a collared shirt on this pod. I thought you two guys would be dressed up. So
coming from the office.
Yeah, hoodies are out right now. It's too hot.
That's true. It's warming up.
Well, cool. Let's rock and roll.
So what are you up to, man? Like, what's the big life of Bone?
A lot going on. Business-wise, I mean, post-pandemic, figuring out all these lessons learned that we have from, what was it, February, March of 2020. I think the world's changed clearly in a big way. So how do we kind of take all that and figure it out? As a company, I think we've changed quite a bit. So
we got a new name,
whole new leadership team, whole new name, whole new strategic focus, whole new balance sheet.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I mean,
last one might be more important.
Amazing too. In like 18 months, completely different company. Yeah. And it's really interesting. Take a lot of companies, arguably 3-5 years to accomplish what we've done in such a short time. But, within that, like double click in that, there's just this bigger transformation, not only as a company, but within, the area that I lead. It's fascinating. It really is. It's how do you kind of change to adopt not only new technologies, but the new way that employees and people kind of look at what they want from their employer.
Okay, so what is your official title?
So I'm Senior Vice President of Global Systems and Services.
Okay.
So our systems group is about 15 to 20% of our total annual revenue.
Yep.
Predominantly North American, obviously, but we are a global systems provider.
Yep.
Gets a little hectic in detail, but as you look at the business going forward, we believe that a lot of the enablement that our future vision provides is going to be done via the platform.
Yeah.
So we've made a pretty big investment, unprecedented investment into modernizing our system. Basically in the system of the future, what would you want it to be? So it's really exciting. And so we're right in the middle of that. We've kind of laid out a couple different ways in which we're doing it. But back to your question on, I've always been a slot guy.
Yeah, right.
And then for a period of time, I was an ETG guy and a table guy. Yeah. Kind of always knew a little bit about systems. But it's funny you say, what did people tell me coming in?
Yeah.
And they go, well, Rob, just so you know, it's like 90% bad news. Right. It's like, how are you going to deal with that? Because you're like
a good news guy. You're a positive guy. Yeah, exactly.
So let's just say it's been an adjustment.
We've been growing. Is how the growth
evolving.
Yeah.
New muscles.
That's it.
You say that you guys are investing back into the systems business, and that was going to be my question for you today. And I'm just going to kick it right off. You've got companies like Optics, Gaming Analytics coming in with some pretty strong platforms that are going to be competing with.
Oh, disruptive, Acres.
Exactly. There's a lot of big companies with some big funding that are doing some pretty innovative things. So how are you guys going to compete with these independent companies that are like directly focused on just providing a good system?
It's a great question. And first off, full acknowledgement and respect for, what Optics and Gaming Analytics and Acres have done. I mean, they've kind of filled a need that customers have wanted. And so I think first and foremost, we have to listen to that. But then more importantly, it's really focused us to say, we can't be everything to everybody. Clearly there's a customer need that they're responding to Kieran and John and Team 4. So do we want to play in that or not? So it's really challenged us to kind of say, well, where are the boundaries of who we want to be? And then when you balance that against what we've said our new strategy and our future strategy is, there's certain components that we have to have, and then certain components that we might like to have. But it all comes back to the customer. I mean, the customers are voting with their dollars. They're voting with, hey, we need this. Data, namely, is something that they're saying we got to have.
Huge, yeah.
And so we've just got to figure out a way to fold it in and make it a bigger part of our commitment going forward.
Yeah. Are you able to say, like, so when you say, hey, we're going to modernize, we're investing at unprecedented levels, like what are some of the things that are either out or coming out that we're pumped for?
Yeah. So, I mean, first off, someone says, okay, we're going to give you effectively a blank check to design a new system. Where do you start there, right? I mean,
where do you start there?
Yeah. So this was immediate when I took over, and it was, pull all the PDM team, all the services team, all the dev team in, and kind of just have a dream session. Yeah. And, it starts off with an awful lot, and then you whittle it down. So we've kind of come down to 6 specific value tenets that we're building our whole modernization around. I won't bore you with, all the details, but I think it really comes back to, namely data, the user interface, and then the way that our customers interact with our system. How do you embrace mobile, and how do you kind of provide a ubiquitous platform that allows you to kind of recognize and reward players in any channel that they want? And, content, always about content. How do you facilitate and enable content? So, our goal, as I said it earlier, is let's stick to what we know we want to be. Sure. And, try not to be everything to everybody.
Yeah, no doubt. That makes sense. Data is everything. I mean, you hear it. We have Kieran on and Noah and John and, even Brooke from Optics, right? And historically, and it's like, yeah, man, you need your numbers and you need to know more and more the total view of the numbers, right? So it's like, hey, not just this game, but how did this game and then those games? Or like even now you feel like a lot of people are saying, so like Boyd just sent out a thing saying, hey, here's how that player behaves. And it's not just all slot. Like it's not 100% slots or 100% tables. You go, the players are actually moving from slots to ETGs to tables, back to slots, to video poker. And it's like they actually play everything. I'm sure there's some people that are all in one, but for the most part, they're varied. And the only way you're ever going to know that is to have a player tracking system that goes, oh, here's what Landon played for his 6 hours in the building or however long you were there, right?
Yeah, I'm curious. You guys did like an internal kind of wish list. Did you guys also do like a customer wish list, like a focus group with customers? And the big thing that I hear with systems, not that my opinion matters, is that none of these systems talk, right? In terms of like the table game tracking to slot tracking to like how we interact on the marketing side. Like you have 3 different systems and you're trying to funnel it all into one. And at some point, if you're working in a casino, you're just like, fuck, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just going to push it to the side because it's too much to learn.
Yeah, and that just speaks to API integrations.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to what I was saying, like, what do you want to be and what don't you want to be? And so we have a pretty focused strategy in saying customers want certain things that we may not want to provide. Yeah. Give them a standard set of APIs that allow them to integrate that. And so that's a focus part of our solution going forward. It's happening right now. I mean, we talk about the modernization journey. This could be 2-3+ years on. Yeah. That's happening right now. But, back on the data thing, it's interesting. Certain people come out and they're like, the system providers are keeping this data from you and they don't want you to have it. That's all well and good. I think we,
well, are you? I mean, come on, you didn't actually say yes or no. I'm assuming no, but let's just say it.
No, there's absolutely, and has never been an intent for us to keep data. And I would actually go so far as to say that we provide more data than many of our customers may know.
Sure.
And so it's on us to make sure that our customers are always aware of what the capabilities of the system are that they have. I would say, in pure speculation, and this kind of happens with any basic product, is customers maybe use 30 to 40% of the total capabilities.
I think that's true across the board.
I mean, right?
How many things I probably have on my phone that I'm like, I don't even know what this could do. I downloaded it for this, and it does 10 other things, right?
So it's on us to really reinforce the value and to make sure that they know. And I mean, on the data point, we have a particular product that provides all the real-time capabilities. And so we just got to make sure that customers know that. And, we actually have an upcoming event
Yeah.
that is completely focused at that very thing. And that's what I'm really here to talk about today.
So is that Users Conference? Is it still called Empower? It was Empower when I was Bally. Is that rebranded?
It was Empower, and it's largely what our customers know us by. The tagline is connecting your world, which really kind of embraces our convergent strategy. And I think the big takeaway is, let's get all of our top customers in one place. First and foremost, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
But let's really double click and get into the details of what our future strategy is and how they're going to benefit.
So so historically it was kind of a executive, I don't want to say dog and pony, but you get the big important people on stage to give the update from their level. And then it felt like, I don't remember Bally days. It was a day and a half of breakouts or like small sessions, to your point, saying, hey, you have ACSC with the, and this module. You probably don't know what this module does, but if you go in that room for 30 minutes, we'll tell you everything it does. Is it still kind of that same format or is it? Yeah.
Spot on.
And so it's kind of this idea, what you just said earlier, saying, hey, you're using 30% of this thing. You're paying for 100% of it. Why don't you come down and we'll educate you on the other 70?
Bingo.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of it is thought leadership and strategy. A lot of it is breakout education. But then this year also we're sharing some commercial solutions. So the people that attend will get firsthand offers, and I think across the board. So my measure of success is: did you leave this more informed?
Yep.
And do you have tangible tools that you're going to help you kind of drive your business forward? And I'm pretty confident we're going to hit on that.
Yeah. When you say commercial, sorry to cut you off. And so is that, I'll just whap you across the table. Like, shut up, buddy.
That's gotta be frustrating. Right?
It's annoying. I can definitely outrun him, but I got to get away first.
His headshot does better online than mine though. So it's all good. So anyway, what was I? So when you say commercial things, like, was that, I thought I knew what you meant, and then I heard you say something else. So when you say they could walk away with an offer, meaning, does that mean that you're going to educate them on maybe best practices on offers to send to their players, or they attend and maybe they get some sort of comp going, hey, I can upgrade to a free module as like an attendee prize or something?
Well, I'll be more concise. I think there's a couple things that when I took the role and you look at some of the things that need to get solved, I think the way we price our products is not very much in line with how our customers use it. I think, you look at maintenance, do customers always feel they get the value out of that? So I think that we're really challenging ourselves to redefine the value that you get out of your maintenance, number one. Number two, security. I can tell you a couple, more than a couple situations where, just technology is changing. So malware, security threats, we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard to make sure that our products are protected. And then on the education point, we've already talked about, how do we make sure customers know what the system can do? The prospect of e-learning. People e-learning, they learn differently when it's in video format and when they can access it at their own time. So we've invested heavily in an e-learning training platform that we're going to be talking about at the user conference. So I think those are three just high level things. But again, to me, success is they walk away from that 3-day session. They feel more informed. Clearly, they feel special because they're the reason we exist. But they also feel that they have tangible, not PowerPoint oriented solutions, but tangible solutions that will drive their business forward.
So where is the conference? When is the conference? And how do I, as the listener, get invited to this conference?
Thank you, Landon. Thank you, Landon.
Triple stamp.
Hard Rock Hollywood. It'll be June 21st to the 23rd. Great venue. For those of you that don't know about it, it's, the Seminole Tribes invested.
The big guitar.
The guitar.
If you listen to this and you haven't heard of it, we gotta make better friends with you, because this is a great property.
First class. So that's first and foremost. We'll have a little golf event on the front end. I was going to ask
you, what's the fun stuff? Because like to me, so when no disrespect to all the learning and the valuable takeaways, but when I was going as a, non-executive, whatever title I had back in the day, I was like, hey, I get to go and I get to golf, and then there's a wine thing, and then we get to hang out at night. So like, what's the Rob Bone fun element of this event?
Well, first day is all golf and all fun golf. Good. I can tell you that the sponsorship participation this year is great, which allows us to do some extra things.
Cool.
So I'm very confident it'll be fun. And then obviously, our leadership team. They're very fun people.
A couple Aussies in there, keep it exciting.
Get them in there, and just turn them loose. And, it should definitely translate. But then we'll actually have a keynote presenter.
Oh, cool. Are we revealing?
I think we are.
Can we MaxBet exclusive this thing? Or
what? So Kevin O'Leary, i.e. Mr. Wonderful.
Of course. So perfect is that.
Part of
Legendary presents Mr. Wonderful. How about that?
I love this.
Yeah. You know what? When you look at what's the commentary, the content, the thought leadership you want to put in front of your customers, I mean, he's an investor.
Yeah.
This is Shark Tank. Yeah. Okay. I was going to make sure everybody knows who he is.
The bald, some vaguely annoying guy from Shark Tank.
I think what might be one of the more contentious.
Contentious. He's also, he's super successful, so you can't hate the guy, but you watch the show, you're like, come on, man. Just like Cuban talk, dude. I love when Mark Cuban's on the show, but
I find him to be super interesting. He's a technologist. He understands the digitization of our environment and our world. And he also understands Web3, blockchain, crypto. And, to me, look, how far is that for our business and our industry? I have my own opinion, but I think we need to start educating ourselves on the things that are happening in that realm. There's multiple companies in our industry that are trying to be on the front end of that.
Sure.
And, I do think it's a matter of when, not if, that technology in some way, shape, or form finds its way into the gaming industry, and the possibilities are huge if you believe in it. But, look, I think there's broader things that have to happen. I mean, last 2 weeks really hasn't been a great thing for crypto in general.
Yeah,
but
it's up a little today.
Okay, so
go for it.
Yes, Mr. Wonderful. Mark Cuban has been called out to be on our podcast, and we haven't found anyone that knows him. Just go ahead and let him know that, just so we can. If
say we don't want you, Mr. Wonderful.
Mr. Wonderful wants to come on too, that's fine. But
guys, I'll tell you,
listen to this. He's never going to come on.
Process of getting and selecting and ultimately signing a speaker. Do you know what's involved in this?
I have no idea. Can you give us a rundown? What's the brief version?
You go online, you find someone, they tell you a price, you call a number, and you lock them down. Yeah, couldn't be so far from the truth. All of them have intermediaries. All of them have very prescriptive ways that they do these things. I mean, so it's
that's crazy.
It's crazy, but Kevin's team has been great, and we're excited about it.
We like Mr. Wonderful. Yeah. So I assume question for you. How do you even narrow this down? So you're sitting there going, and I'm assuming you're driving this as you own the global business. You're going, hey, we should have Mr. Wonderful. Does it start there? Or do you go, hey, is there a list of people we can look at for this opportunity? And then somebody hands you 10 names and you go, well, here's some athletes and here's some non-athletes. How does that even come together?
Yeah. So similarly to the question you asked on, did we involve our customers in this? We did involve our customers in User Conference.
Yeah. What do you
and our sales team, and it was basically, hey, we need someone who's got a brand, someone who's known, but someone who also can share some some thought leadership,
relevant
some relevant info that isn't just, kind of.
When I dunked on this guy in 1994. Yeah, I got it.
Like, teach me something.
Yeah, sure.
But so how do you water it down or whittle it down? I mean, it's a process, definitely.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm excited about it, definitely.
Are you able to share anyone that he beat out? So Mr. Wonderful takes the crown. He's the keynote. He's Mr. Light and Wonderful. We should call it Light and Wonderful for the week, maybe.
It was Cher.
Cher. So I'm assuming not Cher. Was there anybody else in the finalists? Not that they did anything wrong, but just that maybe you didn't go with.
First and foremost, I mean, I don't know if you guys are aware, but some of the names that you may want, they're so expensive. You couldn't even justify
I can imagine.
it. I mean, some of these names that I throw out there, I mean.
What was the biggest, you don't have to call out the person because I'm not trying to shame anybody for their appearance fee, but when somebody came back, you said, hey, what about, and they said what? Was there somebody going, I need $1 million?
Well, I'm a huge Gary Vaynerchuk fan.
Oh, that guy's probably
I don't know if you know Gary V.
I know Gary V. Yeah. Talk about Web3 blockchain. He's in it.
Bingo. Right. And a little outside our price range.
Yeah.
Some other people, I mean, we've had Magic Johnson in the past. Yeah. I think we actually had Gary.
Yeah, I was going to say when we were battling, I think it was literally right as the Sci Games deal was happening. We had our employee, I don't know what they call it, global sales or whatever it was, where most of the revenue team came together. Gary V actually came to speak. And I know that because we had a boxing ring set up as the stage because his book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, had just come out.
Yeah.
And that was the gift. So I was like, yeah. So back in 2012, I guess, honestly, it's one of his older books now, but that was... Yeah, he was fantastic. No idea what his pricing is, but he was great.
And his last 2 years with his own NFT efforts and all the things he does with VaynerMedia just skyrocket. I mean, we've looked at It's really, to me, you got to pick one side. Are you going to go with someone who's got a really big brand, or are you going to go with someone who's going to share some really substantive content? And there's so many people out there. Maya Schenker had the #1 podcast in 2021. You may not have heard about her, but awesome, like really good content.
What's she do? Like, what's her vibe?
She is in charge of behavioral economics at Google.
Sounds like a
kind of a
very
big deal.
smart person. Yes.
So, I mean,
we're not worthy.
Would have been great, but it just doesn't have the, the brand appeal.
Well, like
I
us,
feel
we've
like you
never heard
hit
of her.
both of those with Kevin. I mean, he's a big name and he has good content. I mean, he's a smart dude. So.
And that's where we feel great about it. And so, I mean, it's exciting. And then, I mean, there's some surprises.
Cool. Can't give all the hand away.
That's right.
Got to show up to find out. Yeah.
I'm laughing because we went to a user conference and it was Burke who just sent me off, and I'm down. We're having like a little cocktail thing. It's
AB?
like, AB.
Yeah.
By the way, his beer came back fast and furious.
Luscious
It's
beard
like the
now.
Chia Pet stuff. You just throw it on. Boom, it just grows.
he
Water.
said he pushed it out of his face.
Like on that movie Trolls, where they think hard and they grow hair.
Do you remember when we had Chris Voss as a user, as a speaker?
Yes.
And we had a little cocktail hour, and Burke was talking to a guy. I went up, said hi, and he's like, I got to go, and left me with Chris Voss. Didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Thought he was a customer.
Yeah.
And about 4 seconds into this conversation with this guy, I go, this guy's like enteric. I feel really uncomfortable.
You're not. You're
10
not
minutes later, I find out he's like an FBI negotiator, and that's what he does. He like gets into your thought. I knew something was wrong. Anyways,
man.
side story. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
So you get a little bit of fun with those. Yeah, that'll be interesting. So I guess now that you're looking at your own ideas on Web3, blockchain stuff, are you able to chat with a guy like Mr. Wonderful on the side for 10 minutes and go, hey, here's what we're doing? And how does that come together?
Look,
in the green room, pick his brain?
Pitch him on the idea.
I hope selfishly, but at the same time, I think that there's just a huge amount of education that people have to go through. And then when you say Web3, what does that really
I was just going to ask you. So at some point, I know nothing. Like you talked to me before, you go, can I mention that? I go, yeah, but don't expect me to know anything what you're talking about.
Well, I won't belabor the point, but
what's the 101?
Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3 is just the evolution of the internet.
Okay.
Right. I mean, and clearly Web 1 is just the access and presentation of content in a different medium. Web 2 is really the evolution of that to where now data becomes a bigger thing. Web 3 is really now what becomes interactive, reactive, somewhat more personalized, and more engaging. So when I think Web 3, I think metaverse. All right.
Oh, God, okay.
Yeah, here we go.
And I know you're a big fan.
Landon's about to get out of the Jack in the Box here.
But just the possibilities there. I mean, you guys have an Oculus headset or a VR headset?
I've used one. I don't own one.
So this is, if there's one thing I'd mention to the listeners or the viewers is, if you haven't done it, to partake in a virtual meeting of sorts, where you create an avatar, you go into a designed room of sorts, and you can literally sit next to someone who works in the UK who I've never met before. I'm telling you a real story here.
Yeah.
And you can see his avatar. You can walk up to a whiteboard and collaborate with them. It is transformational in terms of how people engage.
So are you, okay, so you did this. I'm assuming this is kind of your experience.
We now have our own company hosted metaverse meetings.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Did not know that. They didn't put that in the recruitment flyer. They should, though. That'd be fun. I'd be like, oh, can I wander into this weird thing?
I'm curious. So we're talking about how we create a better system and a better experience for the customer.
Mm-hmm. What's the engagement mechanism? So iView for us at the game.
Right.
How are we going to evolve that and make it more compelling? But then ultimately it comes down to this too. I mean, how are you going to really facilitate a way that you can attract and retain the player on the front end and the back end?
Yep.
So we do pretty good, all of us in the industry, at engaging the player when they're at the casino. But how do you get them in? How do you attract them on the front end, and then how do you retain them once they left the casino so that they're already thinking about, what am I going to do when I come back?
Yeah. And you're saying, how do you do those things with all the data collection? Like kind of using that
mobile. Yeah, I mean, it's all it's really an equation that is very dynamic, and so how do you really make it just about them seeing value?
Have you seen anything working to that regard right now, or is that the problem everyone's trying to solve?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's great examples of specific technologies that we can look at and say, hey, they're doing a pretty good job. But for our industry, it's heavily regulated.
Yep.
And so while some of those may be good things to kind of pay attention to, I mean, many of us are going to forge our own path here. The key is listening to the customer.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you said it on the front end. I mean, you say it all the time. You know, if we just listen to the customer, it's going to be, typically will work out. And so, you know, as much as this user conference is about us sharing with them what we would like, it's absolutely about us getting feedback from them and then ultimately building a plan around the voice of the customer.
You almost have to separate the systems from the slot business, from the table business, and be geared and focused on this as just being a systems business, as opposed to being like, oh, we have an add-on to if you buy 50 machines or 100 machines, we'll help you with your system, right? Because I feel like that's been kind of the selling point for a lot of these companies, especially working at a smaller manufacturer. I mean, that usually helped push a lot of the deals forward, right? But it should almost be viewed as separately, in my opinion. That way you can start focusing on really those like add values that the customer's asking for. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you straight up, how you doing that?
So it's an interesting dilemma, right? Because we have such this wide portfolio of solutions. I mean, we've referred to it in the power of the portfolio, from tables to slots to system solutions. And there's this really interesting balance between staying focused on singularly like the system, but then, you know, looking at it that, you know, our customers do know us as this broad portfolio of solutions. So I think we present a value proposition that's very interesting because we can kind of come at them from a couple different angles and give them optimum value. But this system focused solution is very, you know, it's going to require a lot of focus. And so we're going to have to balance that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's why I was asking, because it almost becomes like a forethought for like the company. I mean, with most big companies, and I'm just saying what I know in the business. I obviously don't know the system business well. I'm probably like you were when you were in sales. I know systems that exist, and
you know what a system does. I know
the system like tracks people and stuff.
I have players cards.
But I think to your guys' point, it's going to be a massive part of the business going forward with collecting the data, obviously responsibly, but adding a better experience to the player, better value to the casino. You know, how they track and how they can better take care of their customers.
Well, look at cashless.
Yeah.
I mean, cashless is a perfect example of that very thing. I mean, the complexity of it. And what are we, a year, 18 months into this cashless journey as an industry? Some things have worked, some things haven't worked, but, you know, constant evolution. But the complexity of how do I implement it at the game? You know, what's the back end payment provider? How am I actually, you know, pricing and facilitating that whole process and connecting my bank to the app? I mean, it's very complex. Yeah. So it's just going to require a lot of collaborative approach. And I can tell you that, you know, when we're engaging with customers, initially it was just us. Yeah. Now it's absolutely talking with our partners, you know, like the Everys and the Global Payments and the Sightlines, and collectively coming to the customer and saying, hey, this is how our partnership is going to work. And I think it's translating.
Yeah, nice.
So what are we doing? What can you like give us some like little insight on some of these new features and when customers can start seeing new features, or
is it just a constant rollout? Like that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Like I think we were chatting 2 years ago, who knows, like you had just come on to the system side and I go, hey man, you know, my 2 cents, never been in the job, Monday morning quarterback bullshit. I said, you should run it like Salesforce. You should have one giant, robust, big daddy system that everybody taps into. They get all the features as they go. Why not? Right? I go, they're doing something. They're 50, I don't know how big they are. They're billions and billions and billions of dollars. Makes sense to me. And you're going, that's a little aggressive, but maybe, right? And so like, what is the thought? Like when you say we're modernizing it in the future, like what is it going to be?
God, how much time we have, but I think it has to be more simple first and foremost. I mean, you know, when you look at the way we've led our business up till now, I mean, there's some things we'd probably do differently. Part of it is, without getting geeky, you know, the way that we manage our code base. Our biggest challenge right now is we can't get innovation out fast enough because we have a lot of different customers on a lot of different versions. So a fundamental aspect is getting everyone to what we call an inception point. So then when we bring out this big bad voodoo daddy modernized solution, everyone can kind of hitch to it. So there's multiple elements. I mean, you can come out with the best thing ever, but if customers can't install it and take advantage of it. So we really thought through that. We thought through how do we become a little bit more focused on like a software as a service
Right.
model, where customers are paying for and seeing value in things in a much bigger way.
Yeah.
But then also, like, how do you embrace cloud and how do you embrace microservices? We talked about data.
Yeah.
There's just some fundamental things that, I think come to bear and come to mind when you talk about, okay, we're going to develop a new system. Like, where do we start?
Yeah.
And there's no lack of ideas. I can tell you this.
I can't imagine.
An amazing team of product managers, service people, development folks.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no lack of ideas and hairy, crazy ideas too.
That's
Good.
cool.
Yeah.
I love those. Well, I was going to say, I don't know how many people work in this industry, operators, vendors, right? Every single one of them probably has some opinion about the system, right? Because it touches everyone, and most of the time they're not happy with it for one
Right.
reason or another.
That's
so
where I was
they're going,
gonna
here's
go.
what you got to fix, man. And it's like,
What do they say? The
maybe.
system you want is a system you don't have.
Yeah.
Amen. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why you keep seeing people switch. I'm like, why would they switch? It's such
Yeah.
a big deal to switch a system, right? And then
Huge.
it's like, well, I got fed up with this one, so it's time for the next one. And then probably 3 years later, they'll be fed up with that one, and then maybe move over. Who knows? But
Well, I think the switching costs have maybe become a little less to where previously they're like, as frustrated as I am, I can't deal with it. Now I think that you got to hold yourself to a higher standard because people can switch.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely about what the system does, but even more importantly, it's about the way we service them.
Yep.
And so, we're going through some evolution there too, but this isn't a sales pitch. So
that's okay. Goes back and forth. Yeah, man. What else? So you said cashless, so you're cranking down that road. What are we missing? I want to jump into some stories, but I don't want to cut you off if there's other stuff.
I've been in the business 23, 24 years. I've seen a lot of great slots, a lot of great games, a lot of great table games. I've never seen a product that has more compelling value from a metric standpoint than a product we have called Player Boutique.
Oh, yeah.
So this is annually casinos spend about $800 million in gifting.
Yeah.
Hey, Landon, come and get a George Foreman grill and stand in line.
I'm
and-
actually in the market for a
Yeah.
George Foreman grill right now.
Just don't step
I'm
on it
in.
like Michael Scott. You'll be fine. Okay, so $800 million on tchotchkes that they give away to attract players.
Yeah, and it's typically casinos will order a particular promotional item. They'll
Yeah.
bring in a bunch of
Logoed
inventory,
with their thing, right? Saying, hey, I want the...
stand in line.
Mandalay
Hopefully you
Bay
have
Foreman
enough by the time I get up to the line,
Yeah.
and then I carry it with me all around the casino floor. And largely,
my favorite
players come in and get it, and then they bounce. Right?
Yeah, I do like when I see all the people. I don't want to describe them, but like the folks here are going, oh, it must be quesadilla maker day, right? And they're just toting this giant you appliance around. It's like, oh,
I
man.
literally saw
Run to
someone
the car, bud.
a couple months ago carrying around 3 noodle strainers.
He got 3.
Yeah.
He's like picking one up.
Big
for his-
daddy.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a badge of honor. He's like, look, I qualify. I got 3 of these.
Mike, it totally is.
Yeah.
I earned this.
I earned 3 of them. Yeah.
So we've really thought about it differently. It's like, how can we make that efficient? How can we make it integrated into the game? And how can we make it such that it actually benefits
Yeah.
when people come in? And so this product is hands down, the walk rate, people getting their thing and leaving, cut in half. The coin in and the benefit, because they're playing it at the game versus waiting in a line has gone up,
Interesting. So what, I think I have a cursory understanding of what, how would Player Boutique is effectively, I've qualified now for a giveaway. And if I'm at the game, I can basically select the giveaway item that I want and you'll send it to my house. Is that essentially
2-day shipping?
And
it's
2 days.
No way.
And here's the thing that I like about it. So I didn't take advantage of this because I felt it was weird, but somebody gave me the day before I was about to join the company, hey, here's a free Player Boutique thing. I'm like, probably bad optics, but I logged in and it said, here's 10 things you can choose. So you've qualified where I was a freebie giveaway guy. Here's this tier. So you can choose a waffle maker or whatever the thing would have been. Is that standard now? So it's kind of like the casinos are saying in Player Boutique, you can qualify and hey, if you like the quesadilla thing or the noodle strainer, then have fun, bud. You get 3 of them. But if you like wireless headphones, you can have those instead. It's kind of like that.
Pick what you want.
Yeah, right.
Instead of just, hey, we think you're going to like the noodle strainer. Here's 20 things. Pick the one you want.
I would love to know how they decide. Because to your point, hey, it's a little bit of, I don't know what I need. So you give me a noodle strainer. I'm like, hey, this is great, right? Or one of the thing, I don't know if I got it from a casino. We own, I think it's a spiralizer. So it can turn a zucchini into noodles.
Sounds good.
Yeah, hey, never knew I needed it. Got married, bang, love this thing. But like, so there's probably stuff like that where people are going, hey, it's great.
You're like tapping into the psychology of a child when you like go into like the, you know, the game works and you have to get 1,000 tickets for the bigger bear. And I will spend hours getting 1,000 tickets for the bigger bear. We should just attach a Walmart superstore to most casinos.
But I was at Legoland. I won a unicorn for my kid.
And you were so happy.
I was dad of the year.
Yes.
Cost me $50. I could have bought 6 of those if I went to Target, right? So you're just like,
I think we all have a story about the claw game that you play. You know, it paid $30 to get this thing that is terrible, but you're bringing up a great idea. There's a difference between rewarding someone with gifts based on their previous play and then giving them the ability to earn gifts with their ongoing play.
Yeah.
So it's different. One's a loyalty mechanism, one's a retention mechanism, but either way, Player Boutique has really just...
And that's attached to your player's card. So it goes onto the iView and it just brings it right up and it knows my address already because it has all my information. And it just, bang.
2-day shipping on your door. It's amazing.
I love that.
Well, could you do the thing he just said? So could you, like, is there a like in the system to say, like, let's say I was new, so I carded in and it says, oh, well, Player Boutique's here. And then it's like grayed out. But it says, hey, if you earned 1,000 points, those become ungraded. If you earn 10,000, is that a thing that exists or
even
no?
better?
Yeah,
there's a progress bar.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So it shows you it, but it shows you that, hey, you only have 20% progress towards it. And then once you eclipse that threshold, hey, it's available for you to redeem. Click it, 2-day shipping done.
Yeah, see, because using your dumb like arcade analogy, not that it's dumb, but the arcade itself is
Easy,
dumb. Your
buddy.
idea is great. But like, you're good, arcade's stupid. But if you're using that analogy where you're going, all right, I won the clown water mouth thing, right? And I got the small bear. But then the guy says, well, you can trade 2 small bears for a big bear. You know, fuck it, run it again. I'm going to play, I'll win again, and then I get, right? So like, that scenario, I'm almost thinking progress bar towards this tier. And then I'm assuming you can go, well, I'll just bank those points maybe and move up, right? Because now I'm thinking, well, I don't want the waffle maker. I want the handbag for my wife's birthday, whatever it is going to be. You know, something. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
It just serves as a good foundation for us to build some ideas around.
Well, that's cool.
And again, that's what this user conference is all about. Is
how's that? Yeah. So how's it been received? Like, is that
amazing?
Yeah.
So I think we'll have roughly about 50 customers live by the end of this year. So decent backlog. I mean, candidly, it's an iView 4 enabled product. So you got to have iView 4, which is the same hardware you need for cashless. So dual thing there.
What are you waiting for?
You can tie this to amenities at the property and to stores at the property.
100%.
So if I'm just chilling, gambling, my family's there, and it says, boom, you just got a cabana for the day at the pool. And now I'm super dad. I'm boom, book cabana for the pool. Hey guys, I got you a cabana. By the way,
great idea.
By the way,
thanks.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not there yet, but I mean, it's an absolutely
roadmap.
The tech can do that, and that's where we'd like to take it.
Well, how cool would that be? I think like I think we were talking earlier, like if you walk down like what's the bridge between Cosmo and Aria, like there's all those shops at the Crystals, and they got all these fancy like Hublot, right? Fancy store. You go, hey, you go in there and get 1,000,000 points. Watch is yours, man, or however many points. I don't know how many points you would need, but like you go get a bunch of points, and maybe you can have a free watch. Just choose it in the store.
I think it would be very compelling.
Yeah. I don't know if it cheapens the idea of the luxury window, but at some point you go, hey, I could win that. That'd be cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, it removes the host saying no or yes, right? It removes like
Raining Diamonds by SDG, where literally they gave out diamonds. You'd earn tickets, and then you'd go to one of those kiosks and you'd literally get diamonds. I mean, maybe a little ahead of its time, but everything you guys are saying is possible and definitely can happen.
I tell you, I'm more excited now that I've talked to you about it than I was. So like I've heard it and I'm like, that's cool, right? Yeah, I get it. But now I'm like, that's fun. Like, because you made it an arcade thing. That's just the big little kid in me. But
you know, when you look at what we want to do with it and all the potential of it, it really is kind of one of the top 3 things that we want people to come away with. And we're building a lot of our roadmap features around it. So it's just interesting because who would have known that gifting is $800 million annual thing?
I certainly wouldn't know. I might be in the wrong business.
I'm curious. So if I have a different system, say I am using whatever optics or gaming analytics or whatever, whoever Acres, right? Yep. But I have your hardware and you still have the ability to tap into their system to be able to use my hardware for something like Player Boutique. Is there something like that? Or these companies are just like, no chance we're working together. I'm just curious. Like, can you offer it even if a customer wants to?
So it has like an IGT
but they
system.
don't want to switch their system, but they have your iViews.
Yeah, it's a great question. Technically very feasible. I mean, we do have something called Player Boutique Lite. That's a mobile and kiosk only solution.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it doesn't integrate at the game, but I think this is what is interesting about what Acres has done. You know, I mean, they'll say, hey, I'm a modular solution. You know, if you want this particular feature, we can just layer it on. And it's interesting. It's interesting. And so we're looking at what we would want to do in that regard. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
All right. So takeaways. Mr. Wonderful is going to be at Hollywood Hard Rock in the middle of June. So will Rob Bone. Do you get to intro him, or is Wilson doing that? Who gets to be the guy that runs on stage and goes, ladies and gentlemen?
I think we'll figure that out.
Flipping a coin.
The next
little arm wrestling.
But I think, you know, what's cool is definitely slots are always going to be like, you know, the predominant focus of the company. But what's been awesome is systems for the last 2 months has been like the focus. You know, our whole team is like, how do we jump in and help with the user conference? We're going to be there. You know, let's show up. You know, we have an amazing group of team leaders that you guys are meeting as we speak, but everyone's jumped in and they're going to make this something where when you come, you're not going to learn about the system, but you're going to learn a lot about Light and Wonder and the people that are making it happen behind the scenes.
It's crazy to me how far we've come technologically, but how far we still need to go. And so as we're talking about all these cool new features and these advancements, my mind goes back to VR, back to augmented reality, back to online gaming. I'm sitting at home, I'm playing one of my favorite games online. Boom, I just made enough. Order a pizza. Pizza comes to my house. Just through the game, and it's paid for by my points. Yeah. I mean, this is going to happen. He talked about, you know, attaching an Amazon or a Superstore. Just throw it on Amazon, man. You can just use those points and get whatever you need or whatever you want. Hungry? You haven't eaten in 4 hours. It's kind of like Idiocracy if you haven't seen the movie. It's kind of like Brando, but it's kind of cool too.
There you go.
I think there will be more technological change in our industry in the next 5 to 7 years than there ever has been.
Oh yeah.
I hope so. Just at the way technology evolves,
happening.
Like I hope no one goes, well, from 90 to 97, that was really critical. And now it's like, I hope that the next 7 years are good because they're every day. They're doing more and more new tech.
If you're not making these advancements now, you've already lost. I mean, it's going to come so fast, and we're already behind the curve.
Well, it seems like it because anything you see that's like big time, you go, man. And when did you guys create that? Well, 7 years ago, we started working on this thing, and then all of a sudden, it's our day in the sun. And you go, whoa, okay, yeah, congrats, man, for being visionary. So you're right. The day will come where it's like, now you have to have it, but it's going to take years to get there.
Well, it's kind of like the big three's responsibility to start working on it, because if you have the majority, I still think that brick and mortar exists in 20 years. Yep. And I think the connection between the two is going to be super important. But if we're not creating that technology, it's going to be taken over. I mean, and you know, we've been here for how many years in terms of
human
like
beings? I don't know.
No, I'm saying is like, as slot manufacturers and stuff, right? I mean, 30, 40 plus years we've been making games and trying to figure out new technologies. Like, we are deserved the right to have a spot in that space.
Preach, baby.
And we need to continue to develop quickly.
Yeah.
So that we can, because if not, it's not a guaranteed spot.
Landon, that's what's interesting about being Light and Wonder and developing a new system is there's absolutely a component of what are we doing for the customer, but we have an obligation to kind of lead on the forefront of certain things. And so I think we're embracing that. But then also, I mean, you can't deny the data. You look at someone who's a predominant casino player, and then they also, some of our friends up in Canada, play online. The value of those players who are by channel, 5-6 times the value of someone who's single channel. And so the data just suggests they want this, they need this. Yeah. And so it is incumbent on us. We have to enable this. And then what's super interesting to me back on, Web3 is people are making investments in this. I mean, I can tell you in the last month, customer meetings with people who are like, yeah, we just set up an IBU to go after the metaverse, or we're making an investment in, this particular
IBU stands for what?
Individual business unit.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Literally customers that who are saying, we're carving out 20 people, we're putting them over there and saying, figure this out first.
Yeah. Wow.
And so it's happening. Every other week you hear someone saying, we now accept crypto.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be interesting.
How do you educate the new operator and even the new manufacturer that this is the new way forward? It's almost like when even 20 years ago, it's like, he doesn't get it. He's old school Vegas. He's like the mobster old school style. He doesn't get this new school. We're there again. And if you don't get it, you're going to get pushed out.
It's going to be about utility. I mean, people are going to have their own opinion, but it has to be about something that the player sees value in.
For sure.
Player-driven innovation. I won't bore you with my thoughts and ideas on how that is, but it can't be about something that someone thinks. It's going to have to be about something that, a 50, 60-year-old slot floor, VP or whatever is going to be like, well, I may not believe in it, but my players are voting with their dollars and with their butts. Oh, yeah. So it's going to be about utility.
That's wild.
Pretty cool. It's exciting to see. I'm happy you guys are taking the step forward and making the investment. I'm pumped to see some of the new features coming out.
Yeah. All right. So we're at time, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, unfortunately. So we've been chatting. I was going to say, we've been talking about you coming on the show for a while. Glad it finally worked out. Coincidentally, just happened to be the reveal party for all the Light Wonder. And you work on it. It's just it's a big episode. It's a big episode. Hopefully the views follow along. Who do you want to call out, man? You know the format of the show.
Yeah, I thought about this. I could give a couple names here. I'll give you two. First and foremost, Virginia McDowell.
Okay.
So probably, a big mentor of mine, widely successful, leading companies like Argosy, is now a board member. What's the company with MGM? Roar? Or GVC?
Okay. Like on the REIT side?
Well, one of those, but online sports.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Virginia McDowell has just been an amazing mentor for me, amazing representation of a female executive who has just blazed a trail. She would be amazing. And
sold.
Then
she's in, we're in.
Yeah.
One other one, I tell you this, if you want to talk to someone who knows any and everything about games, content, player experience, Tom Miklich at Station Casinos or Chris Justice at Global Payments. I mean, this guy knows everything.
You got a list over here?
I know, sorry. But I thought about it. I was like,
so I can go back and just here's all the names.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I laugh because if we had kept a list of everybody, it's like, hey, you know what?
I keep a list. I have a list because we're trying. So listen, no one really gives us a hard time for it, but there's definitely times where they go, hey, you got some call outs. So that's why I try to flag. Hey, we actually did have this guy called out and then he came on. We're probably batting about 400. So major league all-star, but probably failing the math class. So we got to do better at following up on the call outs. But yeah, the thing for us is if you can intro us. So if you know, like Virginia, just say, hey, Virginia, these guys here's what they do.
No
That'd be
question.
huge.
Virginia would love it.
Is she based here by any stretch?
No, she's in the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
But comes out quite a bit.
Perfect.
So it'd
That's
be
what
easy.
we like.
Can we hear a fun gambling story?
Do you have one?
You have one?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how fun it is, but so I came
fun.
here for college.
Okay.
I came here for college. And
UNLV Rebel quarterback. Shout out the Rebs. I can't believe we didn't talk about that sooner.
Baby. Hit it up right there.
No
and
sports.
now we're back in the huddle together.
Yes, exactly.
How about that? Yep. Strap it up, baby.
I'm still covering your ass. It's okay. No big deal.
But it's funny. So your perception of gambling is largely based on your first experience that you had.
100%.
So when I came here, we had a couple roommates, a couple baseball players. I was a football player, and we all go to the Mirage. And this is the time when you went to an ATM and you literally got $20 or $40 out at a time.
Yeah, it hurt.
Time,
yeah.
Right? And I remember, one of my friends at the time, he took out $40. He went to a blackjack table at the Mirage and literally within a span of 40 minutes turned it into $1,300.
Oh, nice.
Dang.
And so first experience too, right? So
Big Daddy. Let's go.
This is easy, right?
Vegas ain't that hard.
Worst thing that could have ever happened to me. So, if I could go back, and it would have been probably saved me a lot of money if you just would have lost that after like 5 minutes. But
good.
Yeah, well, that happened. Well, let me go get more.
Oh man, chasing the dream.
Yeah, no doubt. But user conference, make it happen.
Check it out.
Yeah.
So where do they go? There's a website or something they can check out.
There is a website.
We'll post it, I'm sure, just to do it this way because no one listening is going to be typing. I'm assuming because most people listen in their car. So,
what's the website?
No, we're going to get it. We don't have it here, but there is one, and I'll put it up. So
put it right here, post it or something.
Go on. Yeah, there you go. I could probably do that.
We can post it. We'll post it.
All good. Thanks for coming, man. It's been fun.
Guys, thank you.
Long overdue. Appreciate you coming. And
MaxBet.
let's go.
Glad you guys are with us.
Thanks,
let's go.
brother. Yeah,
Game
let's
on.
go. Yep, exactly.